Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. I'm not sure what's happening, but I didn't hear anything from my co-host. Well, she could be tied up with Christmas stuff, getting ready for New Year's, but we'll see what happens. She might be able to come on if she remembers. Uh, Lots going on everywhere, so I mean, it's easy for people to get lost in the things that are going on. Well, what I'm going to talk about today, I will be planning on doing a UFO conference online, not like everybody else's. The only people that are going to come are people that had direct experiences, whatever they're talking about. I don't need storytellers. I don't need people with great imagination. I don't want to bring wannabes on. So it's going to be pretty important if you're really interested in the truth behind what's going on at every level. Now, I did a lot of workshops. I went to a lot of workshops as well. And I realized one thing. Nobody gives you anything important to take home. I'll make sure I have at least a disc with how to see a UFO field manual, which I'll give everybody. I mean, I can send it online. That's what I mean. And my other book's coming out. Hopefully, it'll be done by then. I'm not sure, but Tina will be on with me, and hopefully, her book will be done, and she'll give the links for that because I think it's going to be something that every person in the UFO world should read. She's one of the most important people as far as being a. All right. So that's what's going to happen probably January, February, in between there. Now, if you know, there's always a conference going on somewhere in the United States and even parts of the world now. And those conferences are basically the top name speakers. And they're called the top name speakers because they're on TV. They're at every other UFO conference. I mean, I had Laura Eisenhower on my show, and I think we had 12,000 people following our show. But sadly, like I knew, she would not say anything against me, would not debate me on anything, agreed with whatever I said, even though it's not what she was. I don't need liars. I don't want storytellers. It's truth only, and that's my motto. If you can't talk about the truth that you know is truth, I don't want to hear it. People telling you something, does that make it true? Are they your brother, your sister, your mother, your father? And even then, your parents lie to you. So who do you really trust? Evidence, which very few people have. Like, okay, you saw a UFO? How many people were with you? We saw it with you, whatever. Did you film it? All those kind of things prove something a little more than witnesses that say something. If they didn't film it, I think everybody has a camera right now, or every group of people would have a camera. I remember years ago, I was at a barbecue, picnic, pool party, the whole thing. There was about 25 people there. All right. And it was about 2:30 in the afternoon. I saw a ship coming in, real slow. And I'm watching it for a couple minutes. And then I said, wow, check this out. Then I called everybody, hey, everybody, check this out. And they all started looking. But this was a while ago. We didn't have cell phones with cameras and everything else like the quality. And nobody had a camera. My friend said, I'm going to run home and get a camera, which took him forever. But the ship stayed there for about 10 minutes. Everybody saw it. And then everybody went back to swimming. So it didn't impress nobody. So, you know, people are so afraid that we'll go crazy when we find out aliens are here. The big article was the government set up people to talk to people to get religions ready to deal with aliens. What are they going to say? Oh, well, the good aliens are going to work with us. And what are they going to say that's going to be something that you're going to get used to hearing? Aliens are here? Well, when they come here, they'll have whatever they want to do, whatever they're going to do, will be being done. Not per se what our government says or any other government says. I've been in the UFO world all my life, people. It's not new to me. These UFO people that have been in it 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, how much do they really know? I was working with abductees 50 years ago. So, when people talk about, Tic Tacs, Tic Tacs, after all this time, 60 years went by, and the only thing they're talking about is a Tic Tac. I think that's a little bit on the sad side. But then again, here I'm a realist. I base all the facts that I know and put it to how it has to come out. The U.S. government, working with aliens, cannot admit that. If they did, how much can they admit? That they were selling humans out? What are they going to say? How much could they say? Not much. So that's why the little that comes out is pretty much useless, a Tic Tac. Sergeant 18, who I worked with for many years, and I shot more ships of different kind of ships, creatures, entities, than anybody else in the United States. And guess what? We're not mainstream. People were afraid of us. Well, he kind of disappeared. I think in his own way. He came into a lot of money, had a fight with me, and never heard from him again. But we did a show, 9 months, on Kerry Cassidy's show. She never even listened to one of them. And I kept telling her, listen to one of our shows. We put pictures up every week of UFOs that we shot, or creatures, entities, you name it. We shot just about everything you can. Now, that little picture you see, I hope you saw it at the beginning of this video, was a little ship. And it was right next to me, in the middle of the woods. And then there was some invisible creature running down a stream, being chased by 3 orbs, which I got pictures of that as well. But, everybody expects things to be a certain way. Size is limited to, I guess, I don't know how to describe it, but it's limited to your awareness. All right, thinking all ships have to be 1 inch, 10 inches, 10 miles, a half a mile, a size of a jet, size of a what? It can be any size. It could be an atom. Inside an atom could be a whole universe. How do you know and how can you tell? You can't. So to assume aliens have to be a certain way, that ships have to be a certain way, that they can't be this, they can't be that, is only negotiable to the people that think they know what they're talking about, which is limited to nobody. I don't know anybody outside mainstream that knows much about UFOs, where they come from, what they real. And all these people get these names, top UFO experiencer, top UFO writer, speaker, all those kind of things. What do they know? Did they even have an experience? And then we got people, Corey Good, said he was being visited by a blue race. And they showed him videos of what's going to happen and all those kind of things. He said the world's going to be destroyed. Is that going to happen anytime soon? We're going to be in a disaster zone as far as the new UN Agenda 21. But as far as what the aliens going to do, nobody's going to come out and say it because they don't know. Nobody's working with the Greys. Nobody's working with the reptilians. Nobody's working with the draconians. Oh, they're nice, this. You can say whatever you want. The Nordics are not nice people. They're not Jesus. They're not God. They're not anything close to anything positive. Did I say tall whites? I don't know the race personally. There's a couple of races that are here that are accepted as good. But they're not. The ships that go out there, the motherships, there's always a mantis on it as the captain. So the mantis control the reptilians, the Greys, and the Nordics. Nordics are not good. That's the name I wanted to say. People think they are because they're wearing white robes. They got blonde hair. They got blue eyes. Is that your concept of what you think Jesus looked like too? Delusional ideas programmed to keep you from seeing or knowing the truth. If you think the government's going to tell you anything important anytime soon, wake up. We could be at war with China, I'd say within 3 years. What they're doing now, what they're doing on the moon, what they're doing with their armies, building army bases all around the ocean out where they are. Why do we need more armies? Why would they need more armies? Well, guess what, people? There's something coming. And it's not anything I want to perceive or think about or care about, but it's going to happen. Mr. Biden, and this is a fact, okayed $770 billion for the warfare program. That's the space program, that's weapons and everything else. But if you understand what they're playing with as far as weapons, it all has to do with technology of the future. And that's all because of Mr. Tesla. So I'm not going to get into Tesla because he was, in one way, he was the most evil person, but he didn't even know it. He brought the most deadliest weapons out to this planet. Free energy was free when I was 12 years old. They had a car that ran on water. He was died, disappeared one year later. Ren, what did you have to say? Put it in there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I dealt with where Tesla worked. He worked with an alien race. He worked with DuPont. DuPont created, Freon, and then they created the new so-called Freon. But there was an alien underground base. I know more about that than anybody else in the United States. So you want to talk about Tesla? Go right ahead. I saw his personal notes. All right, but let's go on. We have to think about. Please, if you're going to talk like that, I don't need you on the site. Tesla's weapons are the most dangerous weapons. He created the HARP system, who's dead because he did a show with Jesse Ventura, actually worked on it for the government. Please, if you don't know what you're talking about, please don't say anything. All right, I'll give you one more chance. If you say one more ridiculous thing, you're out. I don't need people going on about stupid things. Tesla was working right next to an area. It was called, this was Wanacue, New Jersey. Okay, it was the Wanacue Reservoir. 9 months, ships were going in and out of there while it was surrounded by armies, and they couldn't stop it. In the middle of the winter, the ships went right through the ice. Sergeant 18, who I did all my UFO stuff with, lived right there. Horrible advancements. He created time travel. The worst thing we ever had in our... Look, I don't need to get into this. I'm trying to get into something really important. Yeah, you get off the show. You're saying I'm spreading false. You don't know what you're talking about. People that don't know what they're talking about try to say what they read, has no clue about what time travel is. All right. So let me get back to where I was going. People, if you want the truth, this is the only place you're going to hear it. Not stories. Do you ever go to a UFO conference? Listen to what they say. Listen to what they talk about. All the stories about the good aliens and everything else. Look at the planet. Look where we are. All right. We're nowhere good. This virus is a part of UN Agenda 21. All right. It was called US Agenda 21 -30. When it was created years ago by 193 countries, they agreed on it. It means one world order. If you know anything about one world order and the Illuminati, two groups that are very similar, what Denver Airport is about. Now, people that left or gone because they don't know anything. I don't want to. I blocked the wrong person too. Oh, sorry. I don't think I can unblock them. I am so sorry about that. I had to get rid of that person that was there. Oh man, this is a great start for a day. Well, let's get back to this problem here. All right, the UFO world's been going in the wrong direction. More and more false information, stories that aren't going to help us. All right, we're being pulled into a world the government won't let us know. Oh, I know more about it than most people. I was involved with this since I was 6 years old, people. It's not like I just stepped into it last year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's been my whole life. It's not something that I wanted. I was forced into it, and I got involved with so many different things involved with it. I was the first person to do past life regression. I was the first person to do psychic implant removal that I know of. I know there was a woman that came out and said she created past life regression 10 years after I was doing it. So, and she died. Barbara Max Hubbard. There was two people, her and somebody else, that worked together. But getting to the problems that these UFO conferences do, they charge a lot of money. All right. These speakers, people, we're going to name them all. Even radio hosts, when they come to these conferences, and I'm not lying about this, they get paid $20,000. So right off the top, that means everybody that comes there has to pay $20,000 to have that speaker there, who knows absolutely nothing. All right. Coast to Coast was probably the most important show many, many years ago, before Art Bell had to get off of it. They were going to kill his son. All kinds of things happened when he had to leave it. And then the 3 or 4 people that actually run it now, one person mainly, but the 2 others that are on as co-hosts and all that, they bring everybody on. There's a limit of what people are allowed to say on that show. For instance, Linda Moulton Howe. She's been on that show, maybe like, who knows, 20 times at least. She used to be on a lot many, many years ago. She was involved with cattle mutilation people for, I'd say, what, 40 years? 30 years, somewhere around there. And she has zero proof of anything about it. Just that it happens. No idea how or why or anything factual. I mean, even the Skinwalker Ranch, she went out there because the cattle was mutilated. Oh, it was mutilated. It could be a couple of different things. I saw 3 of them happen, personally. Not cattle, but it was an animal. So the ship beamed lights over it. And when I went out there, it was dead. And it had like this blood spots where it should have been bleeding a lot around its neck. With a month and a half, 3 times, different animals are there. And there was no animals on the property that I was at, except cows. But again, you spend that much time involved in something, you need some kind of proof. 40 years of going to every crop circle and getting every letter and this, that, and having zero proof of just what it looks like. Anybody can take a picture of what it looks like, but filming it happening. All right. That's a little more important. If you're going to go be the top researcher on it and talk about it, you need some kind of proof. What good's a researcher talking about something if they have no proof about what they're talking about? The same as most people believe a lot of ancient writings, the Emerald tablets, the Sumerian tablets, and all those kind of things, because it was written. The same as the 10 Commandments. Who do you think wrote them? People want to believe so much when there's very little important stuff to believe in. I mean, there's one important thing to believe in, and very few people know anything about it, and that's called God. But outside of that, people want to go on about what's really happening. Well, we're in serious trouble. There are alien races around us. All right. China, Japan, they're going to be cloning humans and animals together. We're headed down a very sick hole. DNA being programmed, changed by who? People? The Harriman claims he has the Ark of the Covenant, was grubbing millions of dollars a couple of years ago to buy a machine to link his up with the one the government has. And then he said he was going to change the vibration of the planet. Do you think these people are normal, sane? He goes on about the string theory, but he really didn't invent the string theory. But you listen to these people, and they got a little money, and they go out there mainstream and start talking. I lectured for a while. Sarge L18 and I lectured around the United States for global sciences from 1996 to 2002. And we were considered the top speakers then. I mean, Bob Dean was there, who I thought was the coolest speaker there was. Alex Collier said a lot about aliens, but never proved anything about it. Not one thing. He was right about prophecy, but he wasn't right about the aliens. Anybody that came out and spoke about aliens in any major way had zero proof. Fire in the Sky, Travis Walton. Well, he had witnesses see him taken and stuff, but he still doesn't know what happened. He knows a little. He had a little bit hypnosis done and stuff like that. But the show I do with Tina Bird, she was probably the most documented evidence-wise of what happened to her. And the government confiscated some of the evidence, which I'm still trying to figure out how we can get it. If we could get some important people involved, we might be able to get a video of them taking, I can't go into the details. It's in her book and everything. I don't want to give it all away. But it's one of the most important UFO stories of abduction, many times, most of her life. So people, when people come on here and say, well, you don't know this, you don't know that, you don't know nothing. People go, well, nobody knows the truth. Well, there's people that do know the truth that don't have to talk about it or want to talk about it. So what I'm saying is I'm planning on I'm going to do a workshop. All right. If I can get enough speakers, I'm not sure I can. Because, all the ones out there mainstream at the UFO conferences, they're telling stories. The word experiencer, which is number one thing at all these UFO conferences now, instead of abductee, it's called an experiencer. The difference is they had a good experience in their mind. They were programmed to believe that they're standing by the bed and the alien said, hey, you want to go for a ride? Let's take you up to our planet. Let's take you here, there, and everywhere. It's an experiencer, completely programmed. The same as what happened many years ago. Now, if you want a little bit of truth, Truman created MJ-12. I was friends with one person from MJ-12. All right. At that time, aliens were working with the government. It was a trade-off. They traded things. All right. People for weapons. And when they did that, they allowed them to abduct a certain amount of people yearly. Not that you can count how many people they abducted. It's just like when they say a whaling ship can only kill 10,000 whales. 10,000 whales. Who's going to count them all? Or when you say dolphins, they're only allowed to kill 10,000 dolphins. I mean, where did they come up with this number 10,000? Like the tuna boats were only allowed to kill 10,000 dolphins in their nets. If you don't have a person on every single boat all the time counting it, you're not going to get those numbers. Taking aliens abduct people out of nowhere, state parks and things like that. Who's counting it? There's no law saying any state park has to release how many people get abducted or disappear. And there's hundreds of thousands over the past, 20 years? There's thousands every year in these parks, and they don't have to say it. Now, there's a couple books out there. Find them, read them. Read what's going on and how there's a car there, the family was there, and now they're not. How's the family disappear? I mean, or then you have a family there and their child just disappeared. Well, there's no cliff that he fell off, and it's not like he ran away within 5 seconds that they couldn't get him. The stories are real, and what's happening is real, and nobody wants to believe that. I mean, I can go on about that kind of thing. People don't want to know about the underground cities that are in the United States alone right now. Why? Afraid to find out the truth? Why are they doing it? Why is not one person talking about it? All right. I know about 15 people in the UFO world that were killed, disappeared, or put in jail. One of them's in a nut house on Long Island. All had something important, actual evidence and things like that. Fred Bell was on Jesse Ventura, and they were talking about the HARP system. And he said something. And Jesse Ventura goes, aren't you worried about them killing you? And he says, no, I work for the government. And then Jesse goes, well, what about me? He goes, you're too mainstream for them to take you out. 2 days later, Fred Bell didn't even leave the hotel room and he was found dead. So, and I could go on about all the other people I know. If you knew anything about the real SETI and the fake SETI and all those kind of things, nobody knows much about it at all. Then you got James Gillen with the ESETI Ranch. We debated and we don't see eye to eye at any level. He talks about all the good aliens, and I said, prove it. Prove one good alien anywhere, except for the movie E.T. All right? We don't have good aliens. If we did, we'd see them. You mean in 30, 40,000 years, not one of them decided to work with us in a good way? The Egyptians, the Mayans, the Aztecs all worked with aliens. They didn't work with gods. Look at the hieroglyphics of even reincarnation in the pyramids and stuff. It's ridiculous what they did to the bodies when they died and everything, thinking they're going to come back. All it was games that the aliens played on them. So why do we assume that the pyramids are really important? To who? The people that died, the people that disappeared? Who? The wars that were going on? People have no knowledge of anything, and they still got a great place to go up there and preach some stupid story and make people believe it. I can get into the Bible because I do that outside of this show. I got a show that I do at least once a week about spiritualism, spiritual truth, and nobody wants that either. Then I hear this other famous speaker going, well, ghosts are just people's imagination. Is he still a little kid being told that? When he was a little kid, he never saw anything? Never experienced anything? Probably not if he could speak like that. I met with a deity from the time I was 6 years old till the time I was 12. All right? Now, my mother said, oh, it's all fake. Don't think about it. It's not real. All right? When you die, you will find out what's real, what's not. Learned and what you didn't learn, and why you're going to reincarnate back here again. There's 2 religions on this planet, people, that can teach you the most important thing you have to learn here, how to leave your body. And I'm not talking about that word that everybody uses. Remote viewing. That's an evil concept because it goes against the first spiritual law, which is the law of non-interference. But people are ignorant in a lot of ways. They don't want the truth, really. They want to live in a fantasy. They want to think the world's getting better. They want to think people are getting better. Why is it relationships are falling apart more and more every year? More and more sexual abuse, sexual crimes. Did you just see what happened? Well, the girl that's in prison, Mitchell, I don't know, whatever. I'm bad with names, sorry. She gave all the names out that she could. She warned them. Says they're going to go down with her. There was a lot of arrests. There's a lot of stuff going on. Is anybody listening? Why isn't it all over the news every single day? I think they're still trying to get them all. And why do you think rich people are buying islands and stuff to get away from the United States? Hillary, it started in Hillary's time frame when it was all about sex slaves and selling children and all that. All right. But it escalated. And then what happened to the last person? He was in jail and he committed suicide because he had information that could have taken that out. And now this woman, she's in jail and she's saying every name she can. Is she going to live? I don't know. You're talking about millionaires, billionaires involved with children, and she's blowing it away. There's going to be a lot of people in politics that are going to be disappearing in jail real soon. I don't know how long it's going to take court case to go through all this and all the names that they're coming up with and people. But it's happening, people. It's not a good thing. It's the most horrible thing that can happen on the planet. Nothing could be worse than that. Poison food, poison chemicals in our drinks and everything else, poison air. But children, selling their body parts, selling them. I mean, it's the pathetic, most sickest thing there is. People, and I'm not making this up. It should be all over the news right now. Why isn't it? Again, the people that are involved don't want that news out. Greetings. My other half didn't come on, but you can come on if you want. But I had a troll on here. Somebody that thought he knew something. But people, I do this not to make money, not to make stories, to get people to think about what's really happening. Do you have a clue? Do you want a clue? I mean, I could go on about Gates. I could go on about Musk. And he might be considered like the number one, given the honor of the number one person on the planet for the year. Really? I doubt it. I truly doubt that. But people think he is. Why? Because of a Tesla car? He wants to put people on Mars? Do we need to spend? And he's getting money from the government as well. Now, I just said it a little while ago. Biden approved of $770 billion for the Army. And people complain about a deficit? And they want middle class and poor people to pay it? Why don't you get the aliens you're working with to pay it? Tell them to give you 100,000 gold bricks or something important. See, people are too far in a programmed, locked into a programmed idea of what life is, what death is, and what God's supposed to be, and all these things. And maybe they don't care. Money changes everything. Cindy Lauper's song, Money Changes Everything. It sure does. Beatles said, money can't buy love. Sure can't. Oh, yes, it can. You can buy fake love, which more women have now than real love. So, you know, when we talk about aliens and what's happening in that world, I'm so sorry Tina's not with us today. We're dealing with a race of beings, multiple races. All right. Well, then all these people come out. If they wanted to destroy us, they would. Guess what? Some races do want to destroy us. There's a combination of how this virus got out. It started in the United States. It was given to China. I know the person that actually was involved with that. And she's alive. She worked for the Army doing that. But here's another thing, people. Do you know how many secret bases in the United States, I call them bases, whatever, working on chemical warfare, creating viruses with no cure? The United States is doing that. Really. Go online, you can pull it up. But they won't tell you where they are. They can't do that. They don't want them blown up and taken out. But they are doing that. Warfare is the only thing that matters to people with money. And controlling the poor people. And eliminating. Now, to show you how it affects us, or whether we listen or not. For Musk to be honored as the number one person, I guess it was about 2 months ago. Right. Well, there's many other viruses. Now, I don't want to lose all these thoughts here. 2015, the zombie flu was the vaccine that they're using. Do you know anything about Africa when they created the zombie pill, whatever they wanted to call it? All right, then when the United States was working on the zombie flu, that is the vaccine right now. All right, in 2015. So they knew what was going on. They always know what's going on. Zika is one word they used. But it was actually the virus that they're releasing cure. What they say is a cure, which it's not. And they're going to make everybody get it. Now they're going to start shutting down planes. I mean, shutting you off a plane if you don't get it. All right. Little by little, UN Agenda 21 will be in full power. We're at level 4. Pull it up. See what steps we went through already that we're going to be moving into step 5. This year we'll be going into step 5. It'll be a lot worse than last year. So, That's one thing. Now getting back to Mr. Musk. 3 months ago, or 2 months ago, he comes out and says, all right, so the video was online. Well, people, you better be aware. And he said, this is going to be real. Artificial intelligence. You should be worrying about that. Okay, we should be worrying about artificial intelligence, which we should be. All right. A month later, last month, comes out, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to eliminate all the useless jobs. What's a useless job? Cleaning the toilet bowl? What's a useless job? The middle class poor people's jobs? He said it, not me. I'm not making this up. Isn't that a big contradictory? And people will still let him be like the number one person, the richest person on the planet. He made $72 billion off of the virus last year. If you don't believe me, watch a movie called Vice. They keep all their shows online. It's the only show that releases the truth in detail. They bring real people, and if they have criminals, they put blindfolds over them so you don't see who they really are. I mean, they get into it. They show you how things are made, what they do, and everything. They don't hide anything. When it was attacking the native people for the pipeline, they showed it. What they're doing, they show it. They don't hide from it. I mean, there's always a twist because somebody always has their own concept and perception of something. So I heard something. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to repeat what I believe is wrong. But they do show everything they can, possibly good, bad, or indifferent. If you want the truth. Yeah, you're right. Nobody wants to get their head, put a plant inside it. But even the mono chip, mono entity, whatever you want to call it, monobot, whatever I'm bad. What they're putting in the chemtrails right now, what they're going to be putting in the vaccine, what they're going to be doing to everybody to make sure that everybody has one. It's a live creature, which is also controllable. If you know the technology, and I'm not going to make anything I say up, they can create something from nothing without anything. Now, that sounds really ridiculous. I watched a 2-hour special on it, the company that's doing it. In other words, they could say like 2 particles in the air link and they could make something from that without using machines to do it. We're getting insane. And the new movie, The Matrix, I'm telling everybody to watch it. And if you didn't get anything out of it the first time, watch it again. All right. Nanobots. Yeah, I'm bad with names. I'm sorry. I always had dyslexia and I always had problems with names and numbers. Sorry, people. That's just me. But I still will give you the truth that I know and have experienced. And I'm not going to give up on that. Now, people, the new year's coming. All right. I want everybody out there to think about this. What are we going to do next year? What do we want to happen? Same stupid stories, same thing. The virus is going to get worse again. Everybody's going to be locked down again and all that kind of stuff. Sadly, they might come to the point, which they will, make everybody get injected. In Europe, they're going door to door. Do you see the riots on the street? People running and trying not to get it? Do you know what's going to happen? We're already in stage 4 of UN Agenda 21. One world order, people, if you don't know what it means. Denver Airport said it many years ago. In the floor, in steel, it said U.S. Air Force New World Order. I had pictures of it. My computer was crashed. I was the only person that had pictures of it. And millions of people walked over it every day. Over time and the year and stuff like that. day after day, people walked over it. And they had the murals there that proved what they were going to do. The New World Order has to tell you what they do before they do it. It's their religion. Well, we have to tell them what we're going to do, but we're going to do it. You don't have to believe what they tell you either. When it said U.S. New World Order in the floor, in steel, right in the main room, they had this triangle thing there. It had all the president's statues and everything else. All right. If you notice, it was the only airport freaking had this ramp that went around the whole thing for the skis and everything. Go there any time of the year. How many skis did you see in those things going around? I jumped up and stood inside one. It were chasing me to get me out of it. But what it's going to be used for? Think about it. What it's really going to be used for. Why the walkway for Denver Airport is concrete. The hallway is concrete. And they got sprinkler systems down the whole side of the wall. Why would you put a whole sprinkler system on a concrete wall? Is the concrete wall going to go on fire? And if you don't want it, if you want the truth about it, I'm not going to go into it all. Read the book, Behold the Pale Horse. He got into most of it, but he never put the picture of it in the book even. I was trying to get in touch with him because somebody said, oh, he must have the picture. And he didn't, and he died. He got into drinking or whatever they did to him. His mind was kind of messed up. Realized Tesla got screwed up near the end. He was in a room 10 years by himself. Wouldn't even let a person touch him. Had no money. Never made money on all his inventions. 200 inventions, people. 50 he gave to the United States government, which were 50 weapons. Do you know how satellites fly? What powers them? Do you know anything? Do you know how big satellites are, really? To think that you can see them from down here when they say everything in the sky is a satellite. It's not, people. Especially if you see one stop, go backwards, go sideways. But I mean, they could go straight across the sky and still be a UFO, sorry. Do you think they have to stop and look at us? Do you think they have to stop and come here? I mean, the ideas that these people have. I got a manual. it's a UFO field manual, how to see a UFO. All right. If you're interested, it's free. Just text me. But I guarantee if you read it and do what I say, you'll see UFOs. They're there every night. They're there every day. Sergeant 18 and I used to film ships every. The technique is you take a good camera, point it towards the sky, set it on 3/4 of the distance of the maximum of focus. You have the sun in back of you. Film it for an hour. And then watch that in slow motion. You're going to be surprised how many ships come by or go by. Now, if you got money, which I wish I had for this reason, not for any other reason, to buy a real good pair of night vision glasses. They're $3,500. But you can see everything. And I'm not lying. You look through them for 10 minutes, you're going to see every kind of weird thing in the sky. Creatures, blobs, and you name it. Can't point it at the sun, can't point it at the moon, you can't point it at things that'll blow the lens out. But I had the chance to use it. I was going to buy one. A good friend of mine, who was one of the big people in the UFO world, he was going to sell me one for half price, which means I could have got it for like $1,500 because somebody was paying him for it, and then suddenly they disappeared. So he says, "I'll give it to you for the rest of the money on it." And then he told me they were going to kill him. He died 2 weeks later. All right. He was at all UFO conferences, taking people out at nighttime. He had about 12, 15 glasses, and he let everybody look through them. Some woman, I'm not going to say her name, is doing it now. She has no clue what she's looking at, no clue at anything. She's becoming a popular person in the UFO world. I talked to her the first time I got to talk to her. And I said, "Well, I have blinking lights." "Well, that's just the clouds going in front of the stars." I said, "Well, you a moron." I said, "A spotlight blink at me 120 times. I have it blink at me every night I go out, roughly 3 times in a row. Oh, it's a star. Is it really? In 5 different spots in the sky. I said, do you know what you're looking at? Oh, well, nobody. I said, you don't know nothing. Why are you doing this? Taking people out to look at something you don't even know what you're telling them they're looking at. It really bothered me. I said, good luck with your. And she's still out there promoting herself, promoting looking at the stars and seeing the ships and stuff or whatever, not what it really is. You know, it boggles my mind that people pay money to people that have no clue what they're talking about. If you're going to go to a doctor, all right, you're going to go to a skin doctor. You're going to go to a doctor that does proctologist. Are you going to go to an eye doctor for something else? I mean, you go to people that are going to help you or talk about it or deal with what you got the problem with or what you want to know. You know, this forced vaccination, it's not new. It's been around for a long time. Even Sergeant 18, the person I dealt with, said there's going to be a virus that falls from the sky. All right. And that was, let's see, 1999, 98, somewhere around there. All right. Sean David Morton, his prophecies, Sergeant and Sean David Morton both prophesized 9/11 2 years before it happened. All right. I've been dealing with people. I sat down with the head of CIA and FBI. We were having dinner, all of us, Sean David Morton. And they said what was going to happen. They said a lot of things. And that was in 1997 or 8. All right. You know, we think we have freedom. It doesn't exist on this planet. We think we're going to move into a better place, which is not going to happen anytime soon. Where do you think you're going to go with the UFO world, people? You think the good aliens are going to come down and help you do what? Build another spaceship to go to Mars? Help you build a base on Mars? How many people do you think are going to get onto Mars before you die? Are you one of the people that want to go there? All right. I'm not. I don't. I'd rather go into the higher realms than the physical realm. All right. I had death experience, and I don't want to talk about that here, but come into my other show. I'm talking about spiritual truth and things like that. But see, people have a program in their and they're not ready to erase it. They're not ready to let go of it. I talked about it the other day, how children, starting the second they could talk, to what? They're about 8 or 9, and they're being forced to be programmed about Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the boogeyman, the stork, all those kind of things. God. And then what? 8, 7, 8, 9. They're told that they're not real. Superman's not real. Santa Claus isn't real. The Easter Bunny's not real. God's real. How's a child know that one's real and all the other ones aren't when they were told they were all real for 5 years? The programming parents do think they don't hurt people. The reason why I did a show on that, because it was a big thing on AOL, and it's doctors talking to parents and things, and they said, should we really teach our children about Santa Claus? And the parents were like, well, it keeps my son happy and it didn't hurt him. It didn't hurt him. If you know what you do, just about everything a parent does hurts a child. Teaching them baloney, nothing about the truth, nothing about God, really? Teaching them the Bible, teaching them a religion? Sending them to school to learn what? What in school do you learn? Other than how to read and write, what important things do you learn? How many people remember any of the geography that they learned in school? Can you name all the countries and presidents and vice presidents? Can you name any of that? How much would you remember? So you went to school for what reason again? And then you go to college. And then you're going to learn a trade, how to operate on somebody, which is important. But why do people think that because they went to school, they deserve more money? Hardworking people deserve as much money as somebody that's doing nothing, like Congress. Sit there and say, okay, I agree, I don't, and get paid lots of money. Why do they get paid so much money? Do you know the salaries they get? And then they get paid for life and all those kind of things. Why? It's like the saying, you steal from the post office, you get 25 years. You kill a woman, you get 5 years. Uh, scenarios that men create are pathetic, but it's controlled thinking. And I'll tell you this: the history was 19. No, I don't want to use that number, but let's say, okay, 30,000 years ago, when aliens were controlling the world, controlling the races, and it wasn't just the Anunnaki, another name that the UFO world over exaggerated because of Zachariah Sitchin, one person. He created more brainwashing programs in people than Jesus did. All right? And Jesus had a truth to bring out which nobody heard. There's such a difference there. Zachariah Sitchin created his theory of what they were talking about and twisted it. If you go against people that didn't agree with him, you could see why they don't fit together, why it can't be exactly true what he said in any way. And the Anunnaki did not create us. If you believe that, I feel sorry for you. Now, I'm a rebel, hardcore. My life's on the line always. I don't walk away from the lies. I mean, I walk away from the lies. I only deal with the truth. Now, Caroline Corey, she's putting another movie out in 2 months, 3 months, whatever. And she already put 2 out. Watch Among Us. Watch how she's brainwashing people to believe the alien thing is going to be a good thing. Implanting an embryo of an alien inside a human is going to be a good thing. Where's the good thing about that? Super abilities, super tap powers. She talked about that now. She claims she could change DNA. What person has the right to do that? Nobody. All right. The same as who I mentioned before. All right. Who said he has the Ark of the Covenant? Really? These people come out with the greatest statements. And they believe them in some way in their own mind. But look at what's happening to the planet. And the whole New Age world, it started growing, 35, 40 years ago? And it became one with the universe. And then the Blue Star, okay, Star Children and Indigo Children came out. Those 2 names. All right. Now, they were supposedly gifted children. I will tell you something that people do not know. Well, to me, being on planet Earth, all you're doing is playing in hell. All right. The Matrix is really close to what's going on at every level if you watch the new movie. It gets right into the hardcore part and the truth. Watch it. Everybody. All right. But here's the thing. We each think we have this called freedom. We think we have all these other words. And we could be connected to these people or those people. Why? Does it make you feel better? If you were an Anunnaki, would that make you feel better? And people think they're aliens. And I could go why. I could teach you why. I could show you why. Why they say they're walk-ins. All right. You can walk into another body. It's a technique here. It's a Tibetan technique I learned even. Would I do it? Why would I want to stay here? This is hell. It doesn't get worse than this, people. Barbara Messiniak, Mr. Rabbit, Barbara Messiniak put out a book, Bringers of the Dawn, years ago. And she explained how souls, when they go through the ozone into the next reality, they get absorbed by aliens if they're not aware. Your uncle's a reptilian and you're not. Here's the thing, people. We have to be cool. I was on a TV show with a kid that said he was a reptilian. but he was going to try to stick his tongue out. He couldn't turn it into anything. He couldn't do anything said he was going to do. I was with another woman who said she was having sex with a reptilian, and she said it's the best sex she ever had. I mean, I dealt with all kinds of people all my life. I was working with women that lost their children through an abduction at 8.5 months pregnant. Saw the X-rays, saw the sonogram. And she went to the hospital the next day, and they said she's not pregnant. She couldn't have been. I mean, I dealt with all that. It's all real, people. But where do we want to fit into that? Watch The Matrix. Watch it from watch 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 4 are probably the best. But what we're doing, where are we going? Who are we going to follow? When we want to have children, what are you going to give them? Who are you going to let them follow? Who's going to be their role model? The new Superman? New Batman? What? What are you going to feed them? A football player? A baseball player? I mean, we got people doing commercials and commercials and commercials. Why? Because they're recognized as famous people. We need somebody famous to tell you need to brush your teeth or get this or that. They're desperate for money even now. And I noticed that by the people doing commercials. You think if you had enough money, you could sit back. But even people that are going on The Masked Singer, famous older people or a little bit back, not mainstream. Some mainstream people, but a lot of the older ones that lost their big publicity stunt because they're bored, they have no money, and people go lose their money. I knew, and I went to see Donna Summers way back when the Supremes sang at New Jersey at the Palisade Amusement Park. And you know, when they split up, and one of them was into drugs and the family broke up, you're not protected because you're famous. Matter of fact, you open yourself to Satan, the darkness, you sell out. You sell your good side away. Money brings nothing good. Ever. Never did. Never will. All right. So, you know, what we need to do now is think how we can do something important with this world against everything that's happening. You know, here's what I heard. All these people that got arrested with this whole thing, with the sex trade, the children trade, hopefully it'll change politics. But you know what we need to do as people? We have the power to do it. Say we want to elect a new Congress. People under the age of 50. People aren't they're going to fall over next year and then a year after. Biden, how many years do you think he's going to stand up? I mean, we got to wake up, people. Do you want to listen to people that are so programmed, so dead to anything new? Oh, the Philadelphia experiment didn't happen. Even young people, once you get programmed, you can't go against it. The hardest thing to do is break somebody with a program. Right? You know, it's time that why I want to do a conference. The people that I know are real. I don't bring people on my show that I don't believe. I was supposed to bring somebody on. We've been playing games. We talk a lot, but I want to bring him on. He was good friends with, he was young, Barney Hill. His family was friends with them. So people that are real, people that were involved in the middle of it, not say, oh, well, they told me this or they told me that. I can tell you all my experiences that I had. I was a foot away from Bigfoot. I was 10 feet from an alien. I mean, I can go on and on of exact experiences. I was with people. My brother was being abducted and I stopped it. Those kind of things. But it's real. Once you go through it and have witnesses and it's not a dream, you didn't wake up in bed. Was that real or wasn't it? Like experiences do. But they're programmed and they do believe it's real. Realize aliens have always programmed people. Truman said you can't abduct a person if they're going to remember what happened. But little by little, and it took a long time for people to start remembering what was happening. Not all of it. The person I do my show with, she's aware of a lot of it, but not all of it. But here's something that's so bizarre. Tina, who I do my show with, let me bring Mr. Sasha on.
Hey, Tommy, how's it going? I finally managed to get some time.
Oh, cool. You're on. Greetings, Sasha. So you heard the troll that I had on my show?
Yeah. When I initially came in, I saw those deleted messages.
I realized what he was saying, and then he was going
Yeah.
nowhere, and he said, "Oh, this is all lies." You don't know. He doesn't know anything. All right.
Well, dealing with ignorant people does get exhausting. So I also
No.
want to give a quick shout out to my friend Zach, who's in here, and John, who just popped in. So welcome in, Captain.
Cool people. Look, yeah, I've got questions. Put them in the chat room, or just come on. I mean, I could put 10 people on my show anytime. But when I do the workshop, I'm going to have to go to Zoom because I want to have a lot more people in there and bring them in. So I'm going to have to switch over for that to do that show. But I think it'll be good because the few people I know have a lot to say, and it's not going to be junk. It's going to be useful, and they could help you if you need it. My one friend's one of the top exorcists in the United States. He deals with aliens and demons and all that. So it's not just alien just demons, but he does work with alien abductions and things like that as well. So and I know him for years now. I trust him 100%. We had great conversations together. All right. Uh, I knew another girl with angels. We agreed on everything. I might be able to get her to come on. I only want people that I know believe in the truth. Let me just make sure this isn't anything major. Man, trying to shut my phone off is a pain. But and I'm going to keep it down just a slight fee to make everybody feel that it's worth it when they come in. But I don't want no money, but some of the people that would come might want something. But like I said, big speakers want $10,000, $20,000 to speak for 2 hours. All right, I wouldn't give it to them, but they want it. So all the speakers don't get the same amount; just the main speakers do. So when you base a conference and say you bring 800 people, they have to pay for $2,000 for the person that's coming to speak, and then each other person has to get paid, and then they have to pay for the hall. So you're paying for a lot of things.
You
Plus
mean
the
you don't want to give you don't want to give $10,000 to Stephen Greer?
no. Why would I want to? How about the speaker from coast to coast? Oh, he has his own show on the side. Oh, whatever. He gets paid a lot of money to go to to speak at one of those things as well. And then they have dinner Friday nights. Always dinner with the speaker. So he's got to sit there for dinner with a bunch of people that are all paying top dollar to sit down and eat with him. Well, I had somebody pay $125 in '97 so I could sit down with Danny Brinkley, Saved by the Light. And I challenged him in front of 13 people at lunch. And he blew me away because he told the truth, which most people will not do. And I'll tell you what he said. Even though David Wilcock had him on and they did a whole workshop on rainbow body, and this isn't a lie. I sat down next to him at dinner, and he started talking, and I said, I got one question. Do you know God? Because he said he was saved by the light 3 times, hit by lightning, and died, and his book was a bestseller for about 3 years. So I said, do you know God? And just blew me away. He stood up. He says, no, I'm a Luciferian from the 1700s, and I'll be paying many more lifetimes. I killed 40 people in this lifetime, and I was shocked for him to say all that, considering he had the bestseller and everybody thinks he's this beautiful, love and light person. So when David Wilcox had him on, he didn't mention any of that. He said, "Your rainbow body, you're in your rainbow body. Let's do a workshop on that." And they did. Now I live with a Buddhist Lama, and she says they don't know what a rainbow body is, which they didn't. And check it out. It's not like what a new age person. Oh, I'm in my rainbow body. A rainbow body is incredible if you study Buddhism. And what happens when a high lama goes into the rainbow body? All right, I'm going to tell you a fist, and this is real. They wrap the body up, and it shrinks to about a foot high, and then they burn it. And when the body burns, there's a crystal there. And then they all see the rainbow body, their light body leave. It's incredible. But the actual shrinking parts, nobody does that. How many people shrink when they get to a little person this big? All right, and then you get burnt. Uh, but for David Wilcox to talk about, he thinks he's a Tibetan Buddhist of somehow. He knows very little about the truth about anything he's talking about. But then again, Buddhism doesn't believe in God. All right, the oneness and the universal consciousness and the what's the other word? The void of everything. Uh, well, yeah, I know that, but I'm saying this is really it really happens to the body. They see it, and then when all these high lamas died, they have the crystals. They take them around the world on tour. Milarepa's crystal, some are rubies, and each one leaves something like that. Now, I want to tell you this. Nobody talks about it. Everybody's brain has a real super tiny little crystal in it. And I'll tell you this, there was a movie many years ago where they showed you this cave where all these skeletons had these holes drilled in the top of their heads, and they were all in different positions because the aliens took out the crystals. And then they knew everything about what was happening, what that person did, and all that. But again, the things that are important that we should be worried about is what aliens really are doing. And it's a simple word, nothing good. But do you want to believe that or not? That's your choice. I'm not going to go long. I mean, I wish I had Tina here because I probably won't speak to her until the new year now. But here's the thing. We each have a mind. We each have a soul. Two separate entities that live in this body we call our human body. Which do you choose to use, your mind or your soul? And they're separate, people. They're not the same. And until you can learn to tune into what soul says, right? Sorry, John, what happened. But, until you learn how to get in touch with that part of who you really are, I mean, it's not like becoming a sixth dimensional being. It's becoming who you are. It's not like you're changing. You're just becoming aware. All right. And I give simple techniques how to tune into that. It's a starting point to learn to listen to soul over the mind. And it's which thoughts come out of your brain versus which thoughts come from soul. Now, I talked about reincarnation. I talked about near-death experiences. And the problem with that is all the people I listen to really don't know what happened when they had their death experience, even though they said they met their mother, met Jesus, met God, and they came back. That's not what happens. It's not like that. You're leaving your body into a dimension that you have never been in before, unaware being at that point, and then nothing's the same. Solid body, you're not going to be sitting in a car. All those things are different. And your family don't become angels or any spiritual being that they're going to be able to help you and change you and stop you from dying and all those kind of things.
And
Just
that's
because you die, what was that, Sasha?
No, I was gonna say it's interesting you mentioned that because when I have conversations with people like that, it's hard for me to make them understand that a lot of those experiences are so far from the truth because once the soul enters the body, the physical mind with its ego twists the true, real experience the soul had completely.
Well, it's like, here's a simple way to look at it, and this is maybe the way you should explain it. Your mind is a computer. It's fed information. That information is what it bases whatever it thinks about. So if you hang out with 20 drug dealers every day of your life, guess what's in that mind? Not much. If you hang out with religious people, you're programmed to that belief. So the mind's only a computer. So you can't go to a computer and say, "Do you love me?" I mean, what's the computer going to say? "Based on my information, I love you." What? What I'm saying, it's programmed information. It can't think for itself because it's not that. Soul is what runs the body, really. All right. I mean, the brain makes the nervous system run, the five senses we have, and the ego takes those senses and makes them what's important. And that's why sex is so important. And that's why drinking's important and smoking. It stimulates those senses, which they think is important. But when you step out of your body, you don't have those five senses anymore because you're not solid. You can't be shot. You can't be cut in half. You can't be burnt. None of those things. It's so different. So, I try to teach that and say that's more important than what aliens are going to do to this planet, what we're going to do to aliens, the fights we're going to have, and everything else we're going to be doing has nothing to do with any of the higher worlds that Jesus taught about. Jesus was the only one that taught about them because the Egyptians, the Mayans talked about coming back. Everybody thinks coming back here is important because they don't know better.
I got a question for you, Tommy.
Go ahead.
From your experience, with all the NDEs and people talking about them, what percentage would you give of those individuals that are actually saying the truth of their experience?
Probably 2%.
Okay, yeah, I figured it was.
I wish it was like 90%. I wish people could learn by experiences and realize whether they're real or not. Because if you wake up from bed and you had a bad dream and you tell yourself it's real, you're going to believe it's real. I mean, when these people come back and say, well, these aliens took me to their planet, took me to every other planet, they showed me these. I know a girl who is incredible at drawing. She drew all these outrageous symbols, claims she talked to every race. She has no karma. She claimed all these things. Anna Hayes. Her stuff's incredible. But she said she wrote two. I was with her. She was living with my friend. She wrote 2 books in a month. And then she became this great speaker. I watched the video she put out, and it was she just made it 12 hours long, and I watched the whole thing. And she was explaining the races and everything else and all this. But I got to speak to her daughter because her daughter was on the ship with her all the time. And this is how it went down. And the daughter said to me, I said, well, who's on the ship with you? Well, the Nordics are, the Greys are, and the Reptilians are. And it was, when she said that, I was like shocked. But she was like harassing my friend who they were living with. And we went to dinner. And she goes, I'm going to throw an energy bomb and kill you. And he goes, if you throw it at me, I'll throw it right back. And the mother says, stop talking like that at the table. So the mother was like way out there. But when I brought her to Sergeant 18, we brought her to there. We let her come up and visit us. She walks in the yard and she looks up and goes, whose ship's up there? And Mr. Sergeant goes, that's my ship. I'm Sergeant 18 because I'm the captain of that ship. And when the time comes, I'm taking 24,000 people on a ship away and blah, blah, blah. But then we took it to the place where DuPont was working and Tesla and all that. And whenever I went there, my friend always goes to me, see over in that corner, there's an alien standing there. And he just watches everything. So we get out of the car. She gets out of the car. And she goes, who's that over in the corner over there? They were on the same wavelength. Whether how real it was, whatever went down, it was like they were directly connected at some weird way. But she got married. She was on a boat. The boat sank. She lost all her everything. She was living with her husband and her ex-husband. She has a real crazy life. I don't know how the daughter is, but she was really out there when I was with my friend working with him. But we hear stories. They could be incredible, but are they important to anybody else? I said it's not important if it's not beneficial to the world. People, oh, this is a secret. There's no spiritual secrets. They're meant to be released, to be used, not to be hidden. Well, I got a spiritual secret. I can blow up the planet. That's not a spiritual secret. That's a weapon, and it's not spiritual. So what I have to say in the past 25 years, when I got more involved with the UFO people, I realized they're all pretty much controlled and programmed. The few people that I knew in the UFO world that I thought were important are all dead. All right. It's amazing how when a person tells the truth in a UFO world, they're killed, died, or commit suicide. All right. That's how it goes down. All right. I can name 15 people, friends, good friends, that were all killed. Sean David Morton just got out of jail. They tried killing him. They did all kinds of things to him in jail. But, it's time to move on, time to get something. How do we change Congress? That's the first step. And the Senate and Congress. We need new people. We don't need 3 people running for president. We need 20. I mean, break up the votes and get somebody that might be real in presidency. Now, the second thing, these are just ideas. Nobody should be allowed to spend more than $10 million on campaigning. And everybody should be granted the same amount. Just because you're rich, you should be paying everybody off and going around the world and bribing the whole planet that you're the best guy coming in. Because a poor person that has intelligence and brains and everything else can't. It's a pathetic way. But again, people think the Constitution was written by what? Rich idiots. Sorry to say that. Evil people. They stole part of the Constitution from the freaking... I'm sorry, I'm getting a little weird here. From the native people. All right? The symbol of the eagle, the symbol of the arrows, everything about it was what the story is, what the people, native people, created that image. The 5 arrows in the talon of the eagle. It was the 5 tribes getting together to form a union within themselves. That's what it was a symbol for. And that's when Thomas Jefferson stole all that and everything else, and they created the Constitution. But they were all rich, and they made it so poor people can't be involved with it. Poor people couldn't vote. It was a program from day one, so it wasn't freedom for people. It was freedom for the rich people, and it still is. All right. I don't want to go on about that. My time's kind of running short. I'm glad I stayed in this long. I was hoping Tina might pop in. But we got not much time. UN agenda means 2030 is the end. One world order, one control. Find out about the underground bases. Figure out, try to see why California had no water, where that water went. I could tell you. That water just didn't evaporate. When they had the power failures in California and they had to shut the power down all the time, why did they do that? Not because people were using too much electricity. The government was. They started playing with the HARP system. I had a friend, my cousin's uncle, whatever. I don't know how he was related, but he worked there, and they were giving the orders to shut it down. Because when the HARP system went on, it would drain the Earth's planet energy, and it still does. But people don't want to know about geothermal, fracking, and all those kind of words. We should have everybody in Congress and the Senate line up and ask them the questions. What is the HARP system? What is fracking really? What is geothermal? I bet they couldn't answer any of that. Are UFOs real? They can't answer that even. What did the government do with aliens? They can't answer that either. So, we're living in a world with idiots telling us what to do based on some program that some other person had that was useless to mankind. And we're destroying the planet, and we're destroying our race, people. So when we start cloning animals and aliens, or Japan comes out with a 6-legged person or whatever, however they're going to do whatever they're going to do with it, a sheeple, meaning a real person with sheep fur, that's a sheeple. What's going to happen, people? Are you ready for it? Well, you should be. And the UFO world's not making anything better. They're telling you all the good aliens are going to come here and help us. And it's not like that. They could have helped us when they helped the Mayans or the Aztecs or the Egyptians, but they didn't. None of them are here. Do people think, oh, well, it was the weather, and what happened to the weather? What are we doing to the weather right now? We're having the worst weather on the planet. Hawaii has the highest amount of snow in the whole world right now. Do you know that? We had rain for like 6 days, and on the mountain, 1 inch of what inch? 1 inch of rain turns to 4 or 6 inches of snow. So how much snow is building up on the mountain? So people, the weather's changing for a reason. When they play with the directed energy weapons in the west of the United States, you better ask yourself why. Why would they do that? But no, you're concerned. Well, what do you want? To play hockey, baseball, football? I want to go hang gliding or sports, or I just want to get high. And most people rather just drink. It's the easiest way to forget it all and get away from it. Well, with that, people, think about a UFO conference. If you have any ideas, text me, email me. I'm looking for people that truly are real about what they experience, what they know, what they're going to talk about. I don't want a storyteller. I don't want a liar. I can't deal with liars. So, till next time. Sorry Tina didn't get on, but hopefully she'll be here next time. And thank you, Sasha, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and you take care, Tommy.
Peace, love, compassion, everybody. Enjoy your day, enjoy your night. If I don't hear from you soon, Happy New Year. It's a new year. Let's try to make it something better. We don't need to keep going downhill. Well, we shouldn't want to, at least. We need to go uphill. Get to the top. I mean, you heard the Tower of Babel. And he was trying to get into heaven, but it didn't work, did it? All right. Peace, people. Till next time.